We want to welcome Mya Carroll to Chamber Chat. Welcome, Mya.
Thank you for having me.
We're happy to have you. How are things going for you and your family?
Everything's going great. I have no complaints. Just staying busy at home, keeping the children busy. My husband is an essential worker. He's in the oil and gas, so he
Okay,
works out. Yeah.
okay. Well, as we'll learn today, you can do as many things as you can with husband and children. So everyone, welcome to Chamber Chat. Glad to be with you again today. My name is Carol Guess. I am chair of the board for the Greater Houston Black Chamber of Commerce. And as I mentioned, our guest today is Mya Carroll. So I'll tell you a little bit about Mya. So Mya is a native Houstonian, and she has a passion for helping others. She has mentored women and children throughout her career and gained much experience in research, in behavioral research, while volunteering at the Severe Behavior Disorders Research Clinic and helping children gain control over their behaviors. And not only is Mya interested in children and women's issues, but she's also a dedicated and successful businesswoman. She is a graduate of Houston Community College with an Associates of Arts degree, and also from the University of Houston Clear Lake with a Bachelor's of Science in Psychology and a minor in Applied Behavior Analysis and Women's Studies. Mya does a ton of things in the community. She is the president of the South Houston Concerned Citizens Coalition, which is a coalition of homeowners associations and other groups that are community minded. And also she's on the board of directors of TERS number 9, so she handles money for improvement in our city. She has RM Carroll Enterprises LLC, which is a company that has multiple holdings in business. And the one that she has most recently started because of demand for her business savvy is CEO of, she is the CEO of CEO Leadership and Training Academy. Mya is also married and she has 4 children. So we're looking to learn a lot from her today about how to turn the ideas we've been thinking about, we've been working on during this corona pandemic into reality, projects into business. So again, welcome, Mya. Thank you for being with us today. I had to get all of that information out about Mya because she is a true Renaissance person, and her story is inspirational, the way she's able to balance all of these different things. So I wanted to hear from her today, and I think that everyone who has an idea germinating, someone who's working on something, could learn a lot from what Mya has experienced. So Mya, we will jump right into our questions.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so first off, a lot of people want to use this time in quarantine to create something new or to achieve a great goal, something that they've had in the back of their minds for a while. What is your advice about getting into a healthy and right mindset to achieve these types of goals?
I say first start off by achieving those goals holistically. That's transforming your mind, your body, and your spirit. You have to change it as a whole. Get out there, ensure that you're feeding your body the right things, especially in the time that we're in, staying healthy, staying physically healthy. On a mental level, read books. Read something that's going to transform your way of thinking. Read the books. If you're looking to go off into a certain industry, tap into those books and learn more about it. And even on a spiritual level, get your Bible out, pray and meditate. I think that's very important to address everything holistically.
Mhm. So it sounds like there's not really a one size fits all or a foolproof plan, um, but to where somebody could just start off and say, I want to, start a baseball team and just head in that direction. It sounds like it should be, let me get my inner self together, and then the outer things can start taking shape. Would you agree with that?
I believe that's where it begins. You know, you have to settle your mind, is what I call it. Just be still for a moment, gather your thoughts and gather your ideas you have and put them all together. I know I journal, so I like to journal a lot. And I know many of you may journal. Go through those old journals you have and gather all that information and put it together and just think about it and rewrite it and revamp it and start from there, because you can always come up with a different idea or expand on something you already have, a hobby or anything. You're able to just take that and just go far with it.
Mhm. So we need to give ourselves time to kind of think through things. It's not just jumping out there. It's giving yourself the opportunity to think things through, to, like you said, to write, revamp, revisit. On another day, you might think of it a different way. So do you think it's important for people who have great ideas to kind of give themselves an opportunity to breathe and just, take some time and gathering their thoughts? Do you think that's important?
I think it's important to start small. Start small, be patient, um, just reconnect. You have to reconnect and restore yourself. So starting small helps you put things in alignment. And versus you going out there just jumping into it, starting big. Start small and learn about what it is that you're trying to do. And I think that's more important. Educate yourself. You have to make sure you educate yourself, learn the industry, learn your avatar, and go from there. Learn the marketing within the area on a local and global level.
Hmm. Okay. So starting off small, not putting a lot of pressure on yourself to make
Right,
it immediately, but just taking the time to research your industry and take small steps to get toward the goal. Okay.
definitely.
So what do you think has given you the confidence that you've needed to step out in the different business endeavors that you have?
Um, oh, I think back to my first business, which I started. It's been 18 years now, which is Carol's Events and Catering. I started that while working in corporate America. So it was like a second stream of income, which I definitely think is needed at the time we are in right now. But actually was kind of voluntold. My mother-in-law, um, who was an event planner for many, many years. So she was like, you do this very well. You need to do it. You need to do it. So one day I came home from work. She had business cards already printed for me. I was like, okay. Um,
That was a
but
sign.
right, right. But once I did it, again, I started out really small. So I would cook for friends and family. They would purchase, cater food from me. And then I started selling to my husband's company. And then it grew from there. It
Mm.
grew from there. I started out small and then I grew from doing weddings. I did corporate events. I really love to specialize in the corporate events. I enjoyed that more so, but it grew from there. And that was before the social media thing. I was kind of also forced and encouraged to get on social media to promote what I did. But no, I started while I was working.
Mhm. So what do you think caused your business to grow, the catering business? What do you think it was about your service offering that caused your business to grow?
Of course it tasted good. But
That's good. That's a big component of. I'm sure you had some people test tasting.
right, right. Customer service is everything with me. Just ensuring that I give people what they're asking for, treating them how I want to be treated. I think that is very important in any business you choose to go into. Also, what stood out, I would always throw in a little extra. I'm very crafty, so I would love to decorate with the food. I love to do that. I call it playing with food. But I feel like my number one strength is customer service. I take that very seriously. Um, just making sure they get everything that they need and more if I'm able to do that.
And so when you are coaching your clients, so one of the things that I would imagine you tell them is that customer service is key and really knowing what their needs are.
Absolutely. Just knowing what your customers are needing and wanting and fulfilling it. Um, Giving them that wow experience. I believe the wow experience is everything.
Mhm.
You know, that makes them come back. That makes them refer you. And that makes the friends that they refer you to refer you to even more people, that grows your business. So that's very important.
So it sounds like once you have your product or service down, the true selling point is how you treat them.
Absolutely. And ensuring that you fulfill what you're saying you're going to do, fulfilling your obligation and giving them exactly what they're paying for.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Definitely. I can't think of how many times I've heard business owners say, you know, well, I shouldn't say business owners, but uh, customers of certain businesses saying that they're not going back to a certain business because someone spoke to them a certain way, or their service was too slow, or something along those lines. So even when we're looking at the ideas that people have during this pandemic, they should work in, it sounds like from what you're saying, their customer service strategy. You know, how are they going to uh, provide great customer service no matter what product or service they're thinking about at this time?
Absolutely. I think that matters, especially in this time, because people are, um, I guess you can say, in a sense of, it's kind of a stressful time right now. And so, how can you bring those people out of that stress just at that moment that you're with them? You know, how can I put a smile on their face? And how can I make them at that moment forget about everything that's going on in the world right now? So, again, that wow experience is everything. And you should be able to plan for that. You know, you write that down. How can I change someone's life with my business, with my product or service? You know, I think that's very vital in any business.
Hmm. Hmm.
Excuse me.
Sure. So during this time, let's take for example, someone who wants to write a book. And I've seen on social media lots of postings about go ahead and get this book out. You've been waiting to write this book. You should do it right now during the pandemic. And on our last chamber chat, we talked about not feeling pressured to have to do something. And there are people who are very satisfied with where they are right now. They either like their jobs or they have a company that they're running and they're satisfied with that. They're not necessarily interested in doing more than that. And so our last chamber chat was to help people who were satisfied. So now we're talking about people who actually do want to go ahead and press on with those ideas. So, for example, writing a book, and you've published books on your own. So, what do you think the steps should be from your perspective about getting that book out?
Um, Again, be patient. You definitely want to be patient when writing your book. But start with an outline. Gather your characters. You know, put all of that in place. Craft your premise. You know, figure out who you want to do your illustrations. Get your editor in place. Just have everything together. And in the meantime, writing your draft. Get that going. It takes time. I say you don't rush that. You know, if you get time, at least an hour or two a day to do it, hey, by all means. Or if you schedule yourself 2 to 3 times a week to put in a couple of hours to do it, do it. But you don't want to ever rush anything. You know, what they say, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yes.
So you want to make sure you take your time and lay out that outline and how you want it to be. Each chapter, your characters, all of that matters, you know, and learning how to publish your own book if that's something you choose to do. And understanding you can publish an ebook for free on several platforms. You can go to CreateSpace, which is Amazon Kindle Direct now. You have I think it's one called, let me see, let me look at this real quick. Smashwords and Apple ebook. You can create a ebook for free on those platforms.
Hmm. So it's not as difficult as someone might think. as far as getting your book out there, it sounds like um, care should be taken as far as the content.
Absolutely. You just have to strategically plan it out. Don't jump right into it. And when I say don't jump right into it, don't think you can just get out there, write a book in one day and publish it unless you have a lot of time. Of course, you can do it. But if you don't, you want to make sure you plan it out. Do an outline and tackle that outline according to your plan, your
Hmm.
time management. Yeah.
Okay. And so, as far as distribution channels for a book, we talked about the different platforms. So, Amazon. What are some other recommendations that you might have?
I use Create Space, which is owned by Amazon. And they actually, once you publish through them, they distribute your book in all areas, So I think it was the easiest way for me. Um, and I know other people go through other platforms, but that one particularly works for me. And I think it's the easiest one. I was actually referred by a friend of mine who have written several books as well, and very successful books. And I think that's one platform that you can't go wrong with. Amazon is a huge company. They have an app. They can click on it from their phone to purchase your book. You can promote from there as well.
Mhm.
So I think it's a great avenue to go with.
Would you recommend that someone writing a book would set up their own website and try to get e-commerce involved, to supposedly cut out as many middlemen as possible?
Absolutely. Not only create you a website, create your social media page, and promote your book. You can hire and get ads on social media, hire someone to a publicist. I mean, you can do so many different avenues to cut out the middleman where you can get 100% of your royalties. And that check comes in your bank account, direct deposit every month. So, hey, why not? It's residual income. So, no, definitely. I think especially in the time we're in now where you can do so much on your own due to social media. You have LinkedIn, Twitter, you have Instagram. Why not?
Good advice. I mean, it's just a matter of, again, it sounds like just doing the research though to understand how those platforms work. And if you hire somebody, they should have the know-how as far as being able to promote your books on social media.
Definitely. They should give you a marketing outline on how to, market your book on social media and the different platforms and your website. It's so many different avenues. You can and add a link um, to your friend's website if they allow you to do that. So I think it's different avenues that you can approach to market your books that you're about to write.
Mhm. Okay. Now, I know in your coaching practice, you get people who are interested in starting businesses.
Hmm.
Um, since so many people have been laid off during this time and are thinking about other streams of income, maybe starting a business being one of them, what's your advice for someone who's thinking of starting a new business in this climate?
Um, I would say start with something you're passionate about. I mean, a hobby can be a business. Again, I turned my hobby into crafting and loving to cook into a business, and it was very lucrative. So I would say start there. And again, researching the industry you're trying to go to, research it on a local level. How many businesses are out there that are doing the same thing you're doing right here in Houston? And then on a global level, and you're able to do that, that'll help you be ahead of the game. And in the process of doing that, what does your avatar look like? Who are you trying to target? Who are your customers or clients you're trying to target? And how can I market to them? What are they looking for from the industry that you're trying to get into? I think that's a good place to start.
Mhm. Okay. And you mentioned doing business globally. I'm
Mhm.
sure that there were many people who were interested in taking their products and services overseas. prior to this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And there may be people out there who are thinking, I want to start doing business globally. When everything opens back up, I would love to know. I would love to start a business and take it overseas. What would be your advice as far as seeking to do business globally? I know that you've ventured into that space. So what's your advice for someone who is thinking about doing that?
First I would say, and you know what, I'm glad you asked me that. I've written down a couple of things. So first I would say, will your product sell within the culture that you're trying to, venture into? I'm sorry, you guys, it keeps falling off my ear. You have to think about that. So you think if you're selling clothes or shoes, if your services are consulting or whatever it may be. So wherever you're thinking about going, are they willing to accept it? Is it going to sell there? Think about traveling there so you can learn the market on your own. Or if you know someone there, that helps a whole lot, because you can have a conversation with them versus paying for that flight to go overseas, but it's definitely to learn what is it that they're looking for. Is your product or service what they're looking for? And if you do go there, or if you meet someone there while you're there, or friends that are over there, learn the system. What does a banking look like? What does that look like? What's difference as far as your structure there, your business structure there? It's so many different avenues. I know when I went to Africa in September of 2019, that's what I did. I went there to learn exactly what it looks like to operate out of Africa. And we learned a lot there. We learned a lot. And before this pandemic happened, we were able to be able to get our online school in 54 countries.
Oh,
So
good.
once you learn, it took us about, I'll say 6 months to gather that information, and we knew who to talk to, and we knew who our services, who to identify it with. So therefore, you have to put in the work. Some more things you can look into. Do you feel comfortable in that country? So you may have to live there temporarily. We was actually in the process of going back up there in June. Actually, we were going to stay there a month, so we can learn more about it and look into exactly what more do they want for us, what more do they want from us, what do they want us to offer, and so what is the infrastructure like? Will your business hold up there? Because you have to look at the fact in some countries, they lack some of the things that we have here. So for instance, how good are the roads? You may have a transportation business where you're going up a bunch of hills. You may need a transmission more often than you would here, or you may need tires more often. There's so many different things you have to look into when going international.
What do you think? Well, let me phrase it this way. How important is it to already have friends in the location where you're seeking to do business? Meaning people who know you and who are also business minded.
I think it's very important because you need someone to look after your business when you're not there, unless you planning on moving there. But other than that, it's very important. I know when I was in Africa, I made a contact with a group of Americans who have been living there for 5 years. And so one of their services is monitoring and watching over other African Americans who bring their business to Dakar, Senegal. And so that's a really great connect that I have. And we talk on the regular. And they're wanting more companies to come from America to Africa. So it's something definitely you want to look into when building your business. Build it on a global level. And when I say that, build it where you can operate in any state as well as internationally.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so, how did you? What worked for you as far as making initial contacts overseas?
Oh, it was difficult because I do not speak French or Wolof, which is what they speak in Dakar, Senegal. Um, I would say having a translator,
Mm-hmm.
making sure you have someone you can trust, that can help translate. And again, going to the right places, because you have to understand you want to go to the people that they trust, because you do have a lot of scams when you're going overseas, especially if they know you are American, you're new there, and you don't know anybody. They do try, their best to run scams on you.
So, right. So did you go through the government in Senegal, or did you already know someone who knew people over there?
Right. When I got there, I met people at the hotel, but I knew people who had started businesses there from the United States. And so they kind of educated me on what to do and what not to do. But when I got there, I was there on my own. I went by myself to learn their way. And so I took the advice that they gave me, and I actually hired a translator. Then when I got there, I hired a tour guide that took me around to different local businesses, that took me around to the banks. But I researched before I went. So before I went there, I researched all I needed to. So I had put my list together. So when I got to Dakar, I knew where I wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I just needed someone to pinpoint me in those directions.
Yeah. And also, we have at the Chamber, we formed a relationship with the U.S. Department of Commerce, and they have services available as well for people who are interested in doing business globally. If you are
Nice.
fortunate enough, like Mya is, to have contacts, certainly use those. Also, keep in mind that our federal government, using our tax dollars, has created the U.S. Commercial Service for those of us who want to go overseas as well. So that's also another a way that we can do business overseas and feel comfortable doing so. So we wish you the best with all your business endeavors, and I'm sure through as you're coaching clients, you're advising them as well as far as the global piece of doing business. Hopefully, we'll have people come out of this pandemic that are saying, you know what, my product is ready to go overseas. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that as well. Um, how can people, oftentimes we get stuck. We've been doing the same thing the same way for a while. The pandemic, I know, is making people rethink a lot of the choices that they've made in life, how they're doing things. What would be some advice you could give to use this downtime to change your habits for the better?
Oh, have you all ever heard of the 2190 rule? It takes 21 days to create a habit. And then after the 21 days, you do it another 90 days. Um, I think you should start again. If you're trying to create better habits, start small. Start small and be patient. And also understand that's just like being on a diet. You're on a diet, and then you'll have one day you mess up. It's okay to start over the next day.
Right.
Just keep your goals going. Keep striving for the best. Um, but I think it's always good to start small.
Mm-hmm. Starting small, I think, um, is definitely easier than trying to jump off a bridge and make everything happen. And I think when we look at social media, we see that type of thing. You see people at their best on social media, and they don't tell you about all the hard work that they had to put in, how long it took to get there. I was watching a conference of social media influencers this weekend, and they talked about how they had been working the social media game for 8 to 10 years before they became famous and started getting endorsements and $1 million checks. So I I understand, and I think our listeners will understand that small steps are important, and that you have to be patient with yourself. Give yourself time to get where you're trying to get.
Yeah, pace yourself. Again, I believe I'm the type of person, I write out my goals and I give myself kind of assignments for the week. And so that allows me to reach my goals on a weekly basis. So each day I give myself some sort of goal that I need to reach for that day. So I try to give myself at least 3 a week. Hey, Mya, you need to tackle this. And even going into 2020, I set goals per quarter, big goals. So like my big goals, I set them out for the quarter. And so that's how I tackle mine. And again, to go back into creating those habits, look at creating a priority chart. And so you're able to create that priority chart. It also allows you to create kind of like a time management. You're getting a schedule in place. And so I wrote this down to share with you guys. So the first priority chart, you're going to write down what's important and what's urgent that needs immediate attention. Secondly, you're going to write down what's important and not urgent, needs attention but not critical. And thirdly, you're going to write down what's urgent but not important, something to do. And the fourth thing you're going to write down, not urgent, not important. It takes up your time. So within that space, you're going to fill in things you need to achieve your goal as becoming that entrepreneur, to fulfilling your goals. With the extra income you need to come in, especially in a time like this. So right now I'm focused on actually learning how to grow virtually. Why do I say that? Because look at all the businesses that have shut down and you can't do anything right now.
Right.
So I think it's very important. We're in a time to add to our strategic plan a virtual business plan. I think that's very important right now. And I think it's going to be important going forward.
Yes.
It's no turning back from that.
Right. Agreed. And that's why we have you on, Mya, because, with everyone talking about some of the ideas that they have that they want to discuss during this time, we just need help. We need help with how to get there. And that's forward thinking and thinking about, okay, I need to have a virtual plan. My comeback needs to include a virtual plan. My new products and services need to have a virtual plan. And so thank you for that advice. Those are excellent tips. If someone sets a goal but doesn't complete them by the time the quarantine is over, what advice do you have for them to continue working toward their goal?
I guess to piggyback off what I just said, don't stop. You just have to fit it into your plan. And that's where time management come in. It's very, very important. And I can share I'm very transparent about my life, having 4 children that are in everything under the sun. It seems like they want to be in
balance your marriage with everything that you're doing.
My calendar is very important to me. So I ensure that I put it in my phone and I link it with my husband. But not only that, I make sure I put in family time. And so while you're trying to be very innovative, you have to be able to say, hey, I'm going to set out this time and this day to work on my business. And you have to do it. You have to put it on your calendar as if you have a meeting at your corporate job. And you have to start planning as if your business is already structured. And so you work according to that plan. You have to use those hours you're allocated for that time and make sure you do it.
And so that brings up one more point before we close out. Discipline. If I'm not a disciplined person, how can I become disciplined? Because when you're talking about entrepreneurship, you have to be self-motivated. And there are people who, have lost their jobs who've never been entrepreneurs. So what is your advice for people making that transition? Because it does take another mindset. You have to shift your mindset. You have to be self-motivated and self-disciplined. So what would be your advice for that person making the transition from job to entrepreneur?
I would say it's not easy. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not easy. I have my bad days, lay in my bed and cry. But I was like, okay, Mya, you let it out. Now get back up. Let's go. again, schedule yourself as if you're going to your 9 to 5, because it's harder to work for yourself than it is to work for a corporate job.
Yes. That is
So
true.
you give yourself a time. So or you go work from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., 9 to 6. What does your schedule look like? And that's how you're able to create that habit of getting up, working your job. That's how you become self-disciplined. And you'll start automatically getting up doing it. I
Mhm.
think it's very, very important, again, to set up your what's important to you and what's not, and so you're able to manage it accordingly.
Yes. It's all about putting the work in.
Okay.
Yeah, we have you, Mya. We heard what you said. It's about scheduling your time and making sure you make time for what is and what is not important. So we got to put in work,
Okay.
everyone. We got to put in work. You know, it's definitely not something that you can just start today and you'll see the money tomorrow. So the
No,
nuggets that we
not
can
at
take
all.
away from today: start small, take baby steps, do your research, research your industry, research the market, see if there's a demand for your product, because it might be a great
Right.
idea to you, but if most people don't see it as valuable, you might not have any someone to sell to. Also, 21 days to form a habit, 90 days for execution. Don't forget the 90 days
Right.
part. And so, Mya, thank you so much for giving us this advice today. We appreciate it. Uh, one of these days, we're going to all grow up and be a serial entrepreneur as you are. But we appreciate your making your skill sets and talents available through CEO Leadership and Training Academy. So everyone, check Mya out. Mya, how can the listeners get in touch with you?
You can follow us on social media. You can go to Mya Carroll. That's my social media. Our CEO Leadership and Training Academy. You can go to ceosuccessmodel.com. We also have courses online on Thinkific and Gumroad's platforms. You can email me at info@myacarroll.com. If you have any questions about today, I'll be sure to answer whatever you need me to answer.
So thank you for that, Mya. And
You're welcome.
the next time we have a chamber chat, it's going to be this next Thursday, every Tuesday and Thursday, 11 a.m. Join us on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We'll have the latest information from people in our industry and business that can help you. Watch our website and our social media for COVID-19 updates. We're here to provide whatever information we can to help you survive and thrive during this time, and also come out on the other side a lot better than you were before we went into this. Again, thank you for joining Chamber Chat today, and we'll see you next time.